Hello everybody and welcome to another Baltic Masters Summer Split 2021 bonus interview. My name is Trajan and joining me today, my guest is the Method2Madness head coach Dingo. Thank you for joining me.
Oh.
Now, the way I've done these previous interviews is I've tried to do it pretty chronologically. I've tried to start at the beginning and work my way through to get all the way to where we are now. Now we are, of course, at the end of the regular split, so we've got a fair bit to cover, but let's talk about the transition for you joining Method2Madness very quickly first. So tell me about any differences that you've seen between your previous coaching experience and your current position as head coach for Method2Madness.
I mean, it's basically my first split as like an actual coach, because before I was just there to mostly be like a manager and assist in any way possible that was needed or that I could. So yeah, this was basically my first split as a coach.
Sure, so a bit of a trial by fire.
Yep.
And I mean, given that what we've heard from Team Infamous in the past, or now members of that now in Vortex, the old practice does not seem to be too common of an occurrence for those old rosters. I think it was Ruff on the winners interview said that they weren't scrimming, they weren't practicing. Blind Boy as well on his winners interview was like, oh, I'm just waiting for the next game to come round. So I guess they don't really need a coach at that point, do they?
I mean, Vortex lineup was just gathered like this because they were supposed to have like really stacked lineup from Estonia. Some like big names like Yoft and Endless, who has been around really long. But then in the last second ended up getting an offer from Italy, and obviously he was taking that. So after that actual lineup like split up, they were just like getting Estonians who were interested to play, and basically just said that this split will be like kind of for fun, but that not at the same time like full fun, but just like take it chill and like they will see how it goes. And as we can see, it went pretty well for them.
Yeah, considering. Yeah, and I imagine they had a lot of fun doing it as well, so I guess they got the best of both worlds. But let's look more towards Method2Madness here. So in that pre-split process, given that originally there was a bit of a shuffle, there was kind of had Carolus listed as head coach and yourself as assistant coach, and then Carolus moving to manager and yourself going up to the head coach. So how much influence did you have over the formation of this new roster? Because there are a lot of new faces here and a lot of investment into kind of previously untested talent at the ERL level.
I mean, I had some like selection of which players we will have. Obviously I didn't have like the whole selection because I was not the head coach at the time, but when I joined Method2Madness as an assistant coach, I like kind of brought two people with me, which I would say is like I guess my selection then for the team, which were like Exmar and Onyas.
Sure.
And when we had that mid lane situation where Siim got banned for his unfortunate behavior,
sins, as it were,
we don't talk about that. And we had Slola coming in to sub, and then we in the end decided to get a completely new mid laner, and that was also like my decision. We had like few tryouts, and then we thought like Biopair was the way to go, and yeah, that's about it. I would say.
Sure.
I kind of got to choose top, mid, and ADC, I guess then.
Sure. Yeah. So plenty of kind of trials and tribulations to work through at the start, but of course building these new rosters can always come with so many of these problems, potentially just trying to get it down to the wire. But with the team roster that you ended up putting together with Method2Madness, what kind of team environment would you say was fostered here? Because it does seem like something that can be very contingent on, you know, different players' attitudes and how they mesh together, what their own feelings and experiences are.
I would say like the overall team atmosphere was really good. Everybody seemed to get along, and I think everybody did get along.
Nice.
But we had some like other issues. Like it wasn't the easiest because we had a lot of like roster changing at the start when Sin couldn't play, then Slola subbing in for scrims, then Booper coming in a little bit later. So we couldn't really like get the full synergy until like I think like last few weeks maybe. And then also we had like some issues with our support, not able to scrim. So we had some weeks where Xmar had like 3 to 4 different supports each day, like not each day like 4, but like in a week like 4 different supports, which also like affected his performance with Yulo like together. And yeah, it was like combination of some unfortunate stuff.
Sure.
But like the team atmosphere was like really good. Everybody was enjoying playing together. Nobody was like toxic or anything, and I think overall it was pretty good.
Well, that's what you want to hear, right? And I guess you've already answered what would have been my next question, which would have been, you know, was it difficult to create that atmosphere given the lack of potentially either lack of experience or the shuffling and the roster shuffling? And it sounds like at least that you were able to foster a good environment, at least despite the problems that were had with all the roster shuffling, so that's good to hear. But if we move forward to the summer split itself, we've already started to touch on it. It was very much another up and down season for M2M, sadly not reaching the playoffs at that final stage. But how close do you think you got to where you expected to be with this roster in terms of power, in terms of cohesion, in terms of, you know, communication? You know, there's a lot of new players, as we said, and with a lot of shuffling, like given your own managed expectations throughout the season, how far do you think you got in terms of like the path that you wanted to follow?
I think our biggest issue was that we were turbo inconsistent. We didn't reach the like part where we actually like played two games in a row very good and very consistently. I think we showed some glimpses of what we are capable of like achieving, but we were like, I would say, pretty far away from our like peak, I would say. But given the like stuff that happened, I guess it was kind of expected not to like get to the peak at least by the end of regular season. Like our peak, we was hoping to get around playoffs, maybe into the like later stage. But yeah, and like I said, our peak came here, and I guess we were too late.
Sure. So
I think we showed like pretty good idea what we can do versus the game we won versus Iron Wolves.
Yeah.
But that was about it.
And that week kind of exemplified that with the Iron Wolves win into the second Vortex loss. Just the inconsistency that you mentioned is just kind of on full show there. So I guess, yeah, that kind of epitomizes it in a little bit. But as a head coach, given that you said that this is kind of your first full split in this kind of position, whether it's an actual active coaching role for a team, what would you say that your greatest challenge has been as a head coach in the summer? Is it something to do with this specific summer split with the shuffles, or just something in the actual coaching aspect of it?
I would say like the biggest issue, was to deal with all the like player swapping and player not being available to do scrims and everything. Like this was the biggest, like hardest thing for me.
Yeah, I guess it's hard for you to implement any kind of plan if that's happening, right? It's hard for you to build too much.
Yep.
Yeah, that is pretty rough to do. So looking back at the whole season in retrospect, we'll finish on a bit of a positive looking at the summer split. What would you say was this M2M roster's greatest strength?
Honestly, I think we showed like pretty good objective control when we had like a good day, like especially like for instance versus Iron Wolves, where we showed up like how to contest objectives pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think like overall our team fights were also like okay, not the best, not the worst, but I think like at least in scrims we showed pretty good team fighting, which we couldn't actually like capitalize on the official games, sadly.
Yeah, I think the objective control thing is definitely true. And when I was looking into the stats for the teams as they built up, like the Method2Madness was always, having decent early tower control and sometimes, dragon and hero control, despite the fact that the early games were maybe not always going your way. So I think that's very true that your objective control was always getting something on the map. You're never just kind of losing something for nothing. But is there a player or a team, I guess, just not on Method2Madness at least, that has surprised you the most in summer? This can be positive or negative, but who was the most kind of differing from your expectations this season?
I mean, I can do both. Like I have two teams. Like I can already say that one team really impressed me was, I think, Iron Wolves. I really didn't expect them to be first place in the regular season, at least. I knew that they would start a little bit slower and like get better when the playoffs roll around, but I honestly didn't think that they will end up first. And especially CTY and Yulbo from Iron Wolves have impressed me a lot, and also I think even Spectral.
Yeah.
Pretty much whatever game they play, Spectral never gets attention, never gets resources, but he's always ahead somehow.
Absolutely.
He's so good at weak side bot lane, and he does it really well.
Yeah.
So I guess like the overall player would be Spectral for me, or CTY, either one of two.
Yeah.
And obviously I think the disappointment one is kind of easy. Obviously it's Koskila. Like
really?
When we look at the roster on paper at the start, it was like insane. It was better than last split, right?
Yeah.
But when we're looking like the standings, we're looking how they play, it's definitely worse than last split. I think everybody knows it. So maybe just these 5 pieces doesn't work together.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, I think the thing that...
don't even know who is like the issue there. I'm not even sure. Like everybody has their like good moments, everybody has their like bad moments, but for some reason, I mean, they are playing together, they're playing as a team, but maybe it just didn't click as we thought it would.
Yeah, I think the thing that stuck out for me, and the thing that I think Doctor was saying on the desk during that last Skilla game, was that, putting Toaster, this very kind of active, aggressive AD carry with Kospek, this very roam heavy support, and then Toaster ends up potentially getting caught too far forward. As you say, maybe it is just a clash of style. Maybe it's just 5 great players who just don't mesh that well together, and perhaps that is causing the problems that we've seen. But that was enough for Iron Wolves to capitalize, as we say, so they ended up getting that first place. But we don't know how the season is going to play out just yet, as the playoffs are still to happen. But if you could give me a prediction for the eventual summer split winner, and I'll push you for a grand finals match score as well, just to make it harder, what would it be?
I mean, my heart goes to Vortex, but my brain says still Goskilla will win it, and I think it will be like 3-2.
Yeah, another banger finals for us. See you in the future.
It's either, I think, 3-1 or 3-2, and I think Goskilla will just brute force it in the end.
Yeah.
Like, Iron Wolves have improved a lot, but Goskilla will just be like, yeah, yes, yo, we are Goskilla, we have money. We will just do it. Don't worry about it.
I kind of feel the same way, to be honest. I love to believe in Iron Wolves, but I just see Goskilla and I think, but it's Goskilla, man. You just... How do you win? And I guess Iron Wolves have won twice. We'll see if they can win some more. But that is going to be it for this interview. Thank you once again for joining me, Dingo. And thank you for everyone else for watching. For everyone, you can tune in on August 7th, 1 PM CEST for the first semi-final, which will be Vortex versus the Iron Wolves, twitch.tv/Baltic Masters. And we may have some more bonus content coming your way before then. So keep an eye out for that. We will see you all there.
Bye, guys. See you next bit.